Alright, so this is how I accidentally spent over a month making the world's stupidest newscast. If you don't know me, my name is Alex and I'm a high school student filmmaker. I've just started my journey to learning all there is to know about film and television production, and I want you there with me every step of the way. If you haven't already, you should go watch Pointless Stop Sign on my channel. It's been in the works for longer than I like to think, and I'll appreciate any support you give the video. Now, I have no segue, so I'm going straight into the behind the scenes. Pre-production. Originally this was going to look way different. It was always going to be a script about stop signs and conspiracy theorists, but I was originally going to make it about a stop sign that everybody ignored, rather than a stop sign that's outright pointless like the final product. This here is the original draft for the script, which was written close to a year before I actually decided to execute the production of this thing. You can see just from the title alone that I intended for this to be more like a nature show rather than a news feature like Thing. Here's the stop sign in question for that script. It's on a trail and everybody ignores it. And the original script also had the conspiracy theorists think that some ghost has spirited the stop sign. And then that ghost hallucinated everybody into thinking that the stop sign just isn't there. Like, yeah, there's genuine satire, and then there's utter nonsense like what I wrote originally. So it's time to revise it into something that's a little bit better and a little more make-sense-y. Script rewritten, and now it's a little more streamlined, and I got the help from someone that's actually good at screenwriting, Alara Hussman. I worked with her for the first time on Bittersweet Expectations, and now she's back to do some doctoring on Pointless Stop Sign. Now it's time for a location search. The stop sign's obvious. It's this one in my hometown of Maple Valley, and shocker, it's a pointless stop sign. But what about conspiracy theorist Winston's office? That's where we go to the student filmmaker's paradise, Soggy Bottom Farms. And if you've seen behind the scenes of Scarlet Indigo, then here's Ivan Muro again, who's the black belt in Hamado, eating lettuce and owning farms. One of the buildings on the farm is called the Garage Mahal, and inside is the attic, affectionately called the Darky Dark.
This thing is so trash.
Yes. Right, and there's one more place too. We had to find a place to get an exterior shot of Winston's office, so we found an abandoned boarded up building in the middle of the mountains, and we decided we could shoot this building from a distance and pass it off as his residence. Here's another familiar face, that's Arpad Mayer. I've known him since my second year of video production, and this satirical newscast marks our very first production together. Arpad has taken up the role of executive producer and set carpentry for this project, and before we knew it, we were already on production day 1. Arpad, Alara, and I are on the road over to film the office building's exterior first. It's great weather to film everything except the scenes with people in it.
I'm like so exposed to sounds. I normally don't do mics. Please help me.
Everything went well until we were driving back from the forests into town when we all collectively realized that we left the clipboard with the shot list behind. Always remember rule number 1 of nature, leave nothing behind. We turn around and go back and attempt to find that shot list when the car dies. Everyone seemed convinced that the battery of the car had died, so the first thing we did was use the phone a friend lifeline and call a fellow filmmaker, Logan Edwards. Logan said that it would take about an hour for him to show up, so during that time we had to get crafty. Arpad found a drill battery, which he created terminals for by cutting a razor blade in half. We tried hooking up cables to that battery, but it didn't jumpstart the car.
Okay, you're touching terminals here, holy shit.
I know, I don't mean to.
Going. Nope.
It's like it's wanting to start. Hey, Logan.
I'm on my way, Pookie Bear.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Eventually, 3 cops drive by. The first one ignored us and went away. The second one pulled over and told us that he just arrested a guy and he has to take him away. Which for a Nowhereville like this, we were appalled that someone in this place with a population of like 10 had to get taken away. The third cop, however, pulled over, popped his hood, and helped us jumpstart. Nothing. The cop wished us luck, and now we continue to play the waiting game until Logan arrives. Eventually he shows up, pops the hood, and tries the exact same thing the cops did.
No, that is battery acid. That is absolutely battery acid.
You
got more than a battery problem, arpad.
Nothing. So for the time being, we ditch the car and find a nearby O'Reilly's and spend about 240 bucks on a new battery. Nothing from the car. It wouldn't start at all. So at this point, it's been about 5 hours since we started filming, and we were all trying to find any alternative we can so we wouldn't have to call a tow truck. But alas, nothing. It's completely dark out, and about an hour after a phone call to the towing company, the guys show up and take Arpad's car to his house so we can figure out this problem another day. Production day 2. Thankfully, this went way smoother and we didn't have to deal with any mid-filming car breakdowns. All of the outdoor scenes we didn't film on production day 1, we decided to film today. But before that, we have an interview scene to film. So here's million subscriber YouTuber Evan Bufflin, better known as Evan MC Gaming. We get the short scene done with Alara and Evan, and after that, it's just time for me to roam the streets and carry around this camera, pointing it at a stop sign. Right, I've yet to introduce the equipment for this project. I made it a goal for myself to film as much of this project as we can on equipment that I owned and didn't have to borrow from the school. So this is my Canon EOS R7, paired up with my DJI RS3 Mini and my Zoom M3 stereo microphone. Accompanying these were 2 lenses. One is my typical all-rounder lens, which I use for 90% of my photography, an EFS 18135. The other one is this bulky boy, my EF 100-400 Super Zoom. Both of these lenses had their part in the outdoor scenes in the video. One of my intentions for this project was to actually serve as a viability test for my own equipment. My time in high school is coming to an end, and by the summer I won't be able to borrow school equipment anymore. It's safe to say I think it was a pretty successful test, and I can totally see myself using the R7 in more short films. Following the end of filming, we decided to revisit the broken car. The problem was a dead fuel pump, which, after I gutted and Frankenstein parts from a new fuel pump, we brought the car back to life.
3, 2, 1.
Oh! Hey! Hey! Yeah!
That was it for the second day. There's nothing more to say. Production days 3, 4, and 5 are pretty much a repeat of each other because all 3 of these days were spent at Soggy Bottom Farms to build the all-important set of Winston's office. There were 2 main tasks that involved carpentry for this project. Firstly, we had to raise walls inside of the Darky Dark to create a slightly more claustrophobic, or rather a pathetic office space to house Winston. As it was, the Darky Dark is a little too vast, so me and Arpad decided to build walls in the form of industry standard Hollywood flats, which, given the right tools and the right sheets of wood, are surprisingly quick and affordable to craft. Production day 3 was spent shopping in Home Depot and in the scene shop, which in the span of about 4 hours, we constructed 8 2-foot by 4-foot Hollywood flats, which on production day 4 were raised up in the attic, once again with the help of Logan. The other task was to build the rolling whiteboard that you see in the background. We thought we had a rolling whiteboard somewhere, but it turns out we didn't, so we decided to rip my whiteboard off my bedroom wall and build a rolling wooden frame around it. What you don't see in the final video is the cheapest casters sold at Home Depot. They claim they hold 50 pounds, but holy shit, they're sketchy. Most of the things you see on the whiteboard are screenshots of Tahoma video production films, including a few of mine, but mostly from fellow video students, shamelessly grabbed without permission. There's an original Jolt prop over there, and you can see Bittersweet Expectations actually had a stop sign in it. Good luck to anyone in the comments who tries to recognize all 23 of the films. And on the 5th day, we added our finishing touches to the set, with stuff like tools hung on the wall. The whiteboard got decked out with a ridiculous amount of red Sharpie and string, which we bought earlier with trips to Hobby Lobby and Home Depot. There's our conspiracy theorist, 5th Avenue theater actor Tayte Erickson.
What do you think?
That's good. That's awesome. Oh, I love the board. Oh, this is perfect.
Filming was very smooth, and I would say the effort that went into the set design was well worth it. Now there's just one thing left to do. Production day 6. Did you forget about the reporter? Well, I sure hope you didn't, because here's our man, Paul Renfer, who teaches stagecraft at Tahoma High School. Being a former actor, and also being more than capable of giving the video a more serious tone than it should have, Arpad realized that Renfer was perfect for the role. This was our final piece of the puzzle, and with this, I could finally move into post-production. we're back in DaVinci Resolve to edit this whole thing up. This is my second production done exclusively in DaVinci Resolve, so I'm still very new to the program. Because of how I intended this project to have a quicker turnaround than some of my other projects, this particular style of video didn't require very heavy color grading. Color grading is something that I absolutely need to get better at for future films, but on the other hand though, for this production, it did give me a little bit of practice in Fusion, so now I know how to use followers and paths. I'm emerging, and that's great. It took about 5 or 6 days of editing bit by bit in my free time, but editing was quick and smooth. And on March 29th, close to 6 weeks after starting production, Pointless Stop Sign was finalized, and here we go. If you want to see more short films and behind the scenes videos coming soon, don't hesitate to subscribe. But until then, I'm going back on set. Thanks for watching.